Hey, what's up, everybody? It's me, Danae, and I'm here with a message for you. Happy Saturday. I hope you're doing well. I am feeling great, feeling amazing. Just been chilling today, doing one of my favorite pastimes, quite transparently, which is to just relax on the couch and watch TV. No, it's not my absolute favorite, but in terms of leisure mode, when there's absolutely nothing more adventurous or interesting to be done, yeah, I love it. To literally be able to just lay on the couch and be entertained because you have absolutely no other obligation or no other destination to answer to. So, yeah, I hope you're having a wonderful day and a wonderful weekend for sure. Saturday is by far my favorite day of the week, honestly. I have so many fond memories of really doing too much on Saturdays when I was younger, between dance school and other extracurricular things, and going over friends' houses, which is another thing I used to love to do, spending the night at my friends' houses when I was allowed to, which wasn't often enough, but or though it was put it this way, it was a small circle of trust of friends and family of which I could spend the night with, but I always loved to go. I always loved to adventure beyond what I was used to. Go figure with my Sagittarius sun. But anyway, enough about me. Don't know why I'm saying that, but we shall see. There's one thing, one inflection I wanted to make based off of my last two messages yesterday. I feel like I gotta say this for the sake of the example that I gave and for general purposes of understanding. I was talking about an example between the tyrant leaders, and it even kind of, I think, flushed into the next message that I did after that, which check out both because two different vibes, but definitely synergized in a strange way. And I think you'll find something valuable in either one. But I given the example of how on one of my previous jobs, my boss pretty much sabotaged a fellow employee from moving up into a higher position of management. And I used the word to describe her, because the conflict was that she was just very independent. And I use the word aggressive, and I want to, track that back. I want to retract that because she wasn't actually aggressive at all. What I really meant to say is assertive. And I used it in the context of what I meant by assertive because I said that she wasn't aggressive against his position or his authority, but she was just very aggressive in what she did well, which was very unique amongst the team. But what I really meant to say was assertive, and it came to me that I needed to make that retraction and not retraction, but I needed to make that adjustment. I'm lost for a word right here, but you know what I'm trying to say. A correction. Thank you, Spirit. I needed to make that correction because I think that just small inflection in words makes a big difference, and sometimes that makes all the difference in how we ladies, particularly lady leaders, are perceived and received, not just in the workplace, but in anything that we endeavor to do. There's an assertiveness that we may persist in or possess naturally, or even if it's just learned behavior from being in the world a certain way. There's an assertion that sometimes we get a bad rap for that our male counterparts do not, where one is labeled assertive, and in the masculine energy well, in the feminine energy is labeled aggression, and in the masculine energy is labeled assertive. And it's a small shift, and I know what I meant, but I also know what I said. And for the sake of her legacy, which I respect and value very much, even though you don't know who the hell she is, I wanted to make sure that I spoke honestly and purely on her name, because she wasn't actually aggressive at all. And as a matter of fact, I feel like she probably could have stood to be more aggressive, and that might have been her downfall in the end. Well, as far as that space was concerned. But I just wanted to say that because it's okay for us ladies to be assertive. It's okay for us to take charge. And I think one of the things that I had spoken about, if it wasn't yesterday, the day before, perhaps it was, and moving into high powered and high level positions, is to know how to turn it on and turn it off as necessary, as needed. Sometimes you need to be a beast, sometimes you need to be a lion, and then sometimes you need to be a lamb, and it's up to you to decide. Nobody else to dictate, mind you, but up to you to discern, more or less, when that energy needs to be in the driver's seat, or when it needs to, take a back seat. So anyway, just had to say that. All right. So other than that, I have no more spiritual small talk for you today. Go ahead and assert yourself to greatness is all I wanted to be sure to say, because somebody might have heard that and was like, oh, she was aggressive. Well, maybe that's why he didn't give her No, she wasn't. No. She wasn't aggressive. She was actually one of the few people, well, I can't say few, but she was definitely top tier in terms of my memory of working with her. Like one of those energies that obviously it still has made an impression on me to this day, that I'm still talking about her, and it's a positive one. So no, she deserved that promotion, but I could bet money, even though I don't know it for sure beyond her traveling the world when she left, but I could bet money that she did much, much better for herself, and God had much more in store for her elsewhere. So shout out to her, wherever she is. All right. So let's see what we got here. Hold up. Didn't we have this yesterday? No, we didn't. It was I don't remember, but it wasn't this. But this is the 9 of Wands. Wounded warrior, PTSD, reluctant, resistant, feeling a little bit out of balance energetically, feeling perhaps regretful about past actions taken, about associations made with the wand energy here. I see it as that sometimes. Really, I see it as a failed agenda. That's how I'm reading it right now. You know why? It's because Spirit is just kind of nudging me to say this, not to double back on what I just said I was done talking about. But what happened with that boss ultimately is that he went from having one of the most successful and cohesive teams that were in the region, quite honestly, like awesome team, had every range of talent that he could really hope for, quite honestly, to one by one people just leaving and find another. It was her, but then there was another manager, and she ended up, after she had a baby, then she left. She didn't return. And then one by one, like some of the best people on the leadership team just began to just move on to bigger and better things. And I believe to this day that he's still there. I cannot confirm that 100%, but I do believe that he is. But he lost a great deal of talent on account of what he ultimately created to be a bit of a hostile work environment in a very covert way. It wasn't like outright, oh, I hate coming to work, but it was just like little things that he would do and just the kind of energy he would create that kind of made people not really want to work with him or for him as enthusiastically anymore. So they still valued their position, and they were committed to it and devoted to excellence in the range of which they were expected to work. But it didn't stop people from eventually routing up out of there, and I mean good quality talent, like people that you would want on your team, to now, like, who even knows? But it's one thing to have a cohesive team of people that not only are excellent at what they do, but are engaged in the common goal, and that you can trust to do their job. It's not like, he had to be there micromanaging and making sure. It's like he could literally not be at the store and things would work like clockwork. And that ended up being the preferred the preferred instance, where it was almost better for him not to be there, to not feel that kind of tense energy. It was just a certain kind of cloud of haze that was just inevitable, when he was around. Not because, let me say, like, I learned a great deal from him as well. In some ways, he was excellent at what he does, but energetically, he just had this way about him that, because I believe he was off balance, it kind of infected the rest of the team and the environment ultimately. And like I said, eventually he looked around and he didn't have any of the talent that he could clearly count on to get the job done in his absence. Who knows what's going on there now? I couldn't say, because I haven't even been back there since I left, to be honest. And I don't know anybody else that's even there anymore. That's the funny thing. And I still keep in contact with some of those people, but nobody is really there, because all the good soldiers have pretty much, laid down their weapons and moved on. They surrendered. Like, you got it. And here he is left to fight the good fight with what's energy he has left. So I don't know. I feel like I needed to say that. Like, some people are feeling regret. That's the inflection of being regretful for, the energy that you have expelled and even committed yourself to. And now looking back and seeing, like, how you could have done things differently, and how what you did do didn't really yield the most prosperous results at this point. Because this is not somebody that's looking back in fond memory. This is somebody that wishes they had made some different choices. Okay, so yeah, that's interesting. I'm gonna leave that there though. We're not gonna take that energy out. And here's the choice maker, but looky here at where he's at with it. It's like, man, someone that you expect to make. I'm gonna see what's ahead of this before I smoke the King of Swords, because it feels right what I'm feeling and what I'm about to say coming out with the Seven of Swords. But I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt. Let me get one before the King of Swords. What he on? What he on? That's too many. Just one. Yeah, and see, that's exactly what it was given with that girl too. It's like something about the feminine energy was intimidating, a particularly strong, grounded feminine energy. Not just any old body, because the girls that would just kiki all day, all the day long, and would pretty much just like let them have his way, were favored. Like, he knew he could push them around a certain type of way. They wouldn't be so grounded as the King of Pentacles. They may not know their value so much, or at least in comparison to so-called authority, which the King of Swords actually does give the energy of. He could be a CEO. He could be some level of expertise in in some field. There is definitely some prestige here, at least in knowledge and intellect, if not experience as well. But this is the spirit of it all. It's like all that energy, all that intelligence, all that wit, because he was very witty. I'm not gonna make this all about him, but I know there's a reason I said what I said. But all this wit and like almost being too smart for your own good, but using it for all the wrong reasons. Like this is an energy of someone who could be very like condescending at times, but again, like what's the word we use for that? Like somebody that like they take like subtle jabs, you know what I mean? Like you don't even realize you being jabbed until later, like what the fuck he said? If you're not careful, you know what I mean? You just focusing on your coin and your job, doing what you got to do, when he throwing little jabs on the sidelines, not to mention the fact that I said that ultimately he was the reason why she didn't get this advancement. So who knows? That was just what I saw. Who knows what other energies he was putting out behind the scenes to just keep people from moving forward in the way that they would have been destined to if left to their own abilities and devices, like kind of just being a roadblock instead of being, it's like the energy of somebody that will use up the team for as much as they need to get done that would make them look good. But beyond you trying to like elevate and advance yourself, it's like that doesn't really serve his agenda, So it's not but so much that you're going to get in terms of support for that advancement, and you may get even less than support here with the Seven of Swords. Yeah, so, and we see this, and I'm not making it about him because, like I said, I don't have no ill feelings toward him. I learned a great deal of what to do and what not to do because he was good at in his field of management. He was the boss for a reason. It's just the energetic vibes are what I would have shifted in if, being so intelligent and forward thinking, it would have made for a better space and place for all to see kind of like the effects that his energy would have on productivity, and to shift, if nothing else, for the purposes of making his job that much more easier, and for him being that much more acknowledged and revered for the ship that he was running. But sometimes we just get in our own way like that. We do. And it's not limited to this very specific experience of which you have no connection to. It's like feminine and masculine energy, generally speaking, that sometimes this masculine force that wants to feel, that just pretty much wants to substantiate some place of superiority and genius, and like I'm the boss, I'm in charge type of energy, gets in his own way, because here's the value in the queen, right? The Queen of Pentacles is the one with the coin. That's the one with the energy, and it was mainly a team of women. And when you get women on your side, more or less, if you can empower them and make them comfortable and allow them to just excel in what they do best, man, you almost don't have to do shit, which was where he was headed until he became intimidated by that reality, instead of seeing it as an advancement for the overall experience, and that's the issue in society today, is that men, by way of their own, not all men, of course, but the masculine energy has a complex of insecurity where they feel that harmony and balance and equality somehow inflects inferiority for their purpose and their place in the world, whether it be on the job, in the home, in everyday life, casually, creatively, whatever it may be. It's like a, you know what I'm saying. I ain't even got to beat that down. And like I said, it's not everybody. And I do believe that this, for the divine masculine, is something that was the charge to overcome, where the feminine energy more or less had the charge to see her worth, to really live in and step into her value as a queen, more or less, in whatever regard that reflects to be or projects to be. This is about knowing your worth and knowing the value that you bring to any space and time and place that you enter, and most importantly to yourself, because she's focused on the coin that she's holding and not allowing that to be validated otherwise by external forces, and particularly by male forces, because that's kind of what we've been conditioned to do. Like, if we don't have the stamp of approval of the patriarchy, then we must be doing something wrong. And that's been reinforced with the outcast of the feminine energy, as I started saying, where if you're assertive, then you're too masculine and you're labeled aggressive, labeled a bitch, not a boss type of energy. Where if a masculine has the same vibration, same frequency, he's elevated and celebrated to some degree. I think that's the thing that we all, on both sides of both polarities, have been healing from in different regards, so that we could see the value of how we work best together, so we don't have to look back at society with regrets and with losses and missed opportunities and mismanagements of our own energy, wishing we had done something differently, because we can make that change right here, right now, and ultimately not outsmart our own selves on either side, because sometimes the overstep or the overexertion of the feminine energy, who does find her worth and has had no help from the masculine energy to do so, can be a bit aggressive in the sense of wanting to dominate or even be resistant to any male co-creation at all. We know the type, and I'm not saying that that's altogether wrong, or I can't label that for anything outside of what it is, which is just understandable given the oppression and suppression of feminine energy. But what I'm speaking to it for is it being a matter of productivity or not. And that's where it's like, when do we all put down our weapons and say, like, okay, does this work for the good of all? Does it work for me to overpower you or to diminish you? Or does it work for me to regress and suppress my assertiveness to appease your masculinity? Does that work either? Because now I'm giving you less than what I could actually, So it's like we kind of need to stop outsmarting ourselves, because the Seven of Swords thinks it's getting over, it's trickery, it's deception, it's deceit, and it's illusions ultimately, because it's lies. It's just not true. It's not what works, So, yeah. Let me just see. I want to see what he thinks he's getting away from, though. Just to be fair on the other side of this. Let's see. One card after the Seven of Swords. I almost said before, because that's where he's coming from when he's looking backwards. Ooh, that's a lot. But look at all this look at all this feminine energy. See, exactly my point. Breadcrumbing mystically, like secret offers that really ain't all that high that aren't really that high in value. But secretly offering to the mystique of his own agenda is what I'm getting from this. That's where he's coming from, because this is the intimidation that he feels. See where his back is turned? We got the Queen of Swords, who would be the counterpart if he would allow it to be, right? But the High Priestess and the Queen of Wands. With the Queen of Pentacles on the board, I'm almost tempted to pull all this out because that's so much energy, but I'm not going to. You get it. And the sun. Oh my God. Yeah, competition with feminine success. And I know what it was for him, if I could speak frankly. He had mommy issues. And look at that. Feeling insecure. That's what that card is about. Feeling like you don't have enough, you aren't enough, you couldn't quite do enough to match up. He came from a very strange upbringing, and particularly a strange relationship with his mother. And so that spilled into his energy. You know, almost, I feel to some degree, having an affinity for women and the force of a woman, you know, but also having a bit of resentment toward them too. And now being in a position of power where you can manipulate energy, taking liberty, more liberty than was justified in that regard. Because it's like the part of him that still needed to be healed and whole couldn't help itself, you know, to overcompensate for this spirit of lack that he was really feeling internally. And if that ain't the universal order of the dynamics that I'm talking about, it's that you can almost box that up and say that that is the cause, you know, and this is the symptom, but certainly this is the cause, you know. Meanwhile, feminine over here, like I said, just trying to keep up, just trying to keep her coin in order, you know, get the American dream or whatever national dream, whatever dream you come from, but it's certainly not even limited to this country. It's universal, it's global. Yeah, it's global. Here's the struggle with this illusion that somehow, you know, you pale in comparison, but like I said, this is the need for healing. With the Seven of Cups, this is an illusion and a delusion. So not only is it an inflated ego, it's inflated on the basis of lies to self, and somebody just not being willing to release these burdens of the pressures that they put on themselves to be in charge, I guess, in power. Yeah, because it's wand energy, to be in power, to be in control. Okay, in control. And by way of taking on all of these energies, they actually deteriorate their force. Like I said, with the Eight of Wands, putting the pressure on these energies that really you just feel intimidated by, ultimately put more pressure on his back when everybody decided that they could do better elsewhere, you know, so it just wasn't even worth it. It's like, yeah, like what are you doing here? So we got and then probably by the time he realized it, it was a little bit too late with the Knight of Pentacles. And now and once everybody kind of left, I'm sorry to keep bringing it back to this, but it correlates, if you're listening, to the universal constructs that I'm speaking of. It's like now when you realize it, you're pretty much starting back to square one. Like I said, now you got to start with the team that you kind of got to groom all over again, gain trust for and with all over again, teach them the ropes all over again. You know, coming from a human resources background, retention is just as important as recruitment, you know, because it costs companies money to train new talent all over again, rather than it does to just keep paying the ones that now know the ropes and know how the machine works. You know, you got to start all over with benefits, again, training, materials, like you're starting from scratch, but it's a big investment, rather than maintaining the value that you know, it's like maintaining your savings versus building it all over again or building a whole new account all over again with very high risks, mind you, especially with the Fool card here, because there's no guarantee, particularly in certain markets and certain industries, that your investment will really pay off, because people might just be here today for, for temporary reasons and gone tomorrow. So to have a team in an industry that has a high turnover rate, such as the one that I'm speaking of, you would want to invest in the loyalty and the morale of that unit, before you just feel like, oh, well, I could just hire another, that was the vibes. And that's the energy that with women, it's like, oh, well, it's plenty of fish in the sea, plenty of women, I'll just get another. Like, we all just so desperate out here to either be on a man's arm intimately or to just be recognized, like I said, to be chosen for a position of prestige or a professional role or creativity or whatever the case may be. Like, we all out here catfighting for a few good positions. That's just not the case. It never 100% was more than it was the projected illusion, but it's certainly not the case now. Women are finding it far more honorable to do their own thing independently if they can't find a proper place that honors their creativity in whatever way they're willing to invest it, So this now is like the Knight of Pentacles trying to return, like, oh, I get it now, we need you, but it's like I say sometimes about the Knight of Pentacles in the lower forms, it's like too little too late. Now you got to start from square one, or maybe you got to go find a new place to be because it ain't doing what it was doing for you anymore, which could have been the case. I always thought that he would be gone before everybody else, that his antics would catch up with him. But to my surprise, it was the other way around, and everybody else left and he was just still stuck standing there. So that's the energy here. You'll still be stuck standing there with an unreceived offer, unreciprocated advance in this regard, because although the Fool is kind of going, it's just imbalance, especially under the Seven of Swords. It's like usually the Fool is about new beginnings, a fresh start, getting onto a new path, a new journey, new adventure. But in this case, with the Knight of Pentacles, that's already a depreciated value, as we're speaking of it here, and a delayed value at that. To me, it just says that his money is not really going to buy much. Like I said, it may buy more fleeting energy where they're here today, gone tomorrow. And you could think about this relationally, where men have squandered very high value women in their lives, like women that have had great potential for partnership, somebody that would want to be devoted and committed, that's nurturing. And this is mommy material with the Queen of Pentacles. She knows how to take care of home, and she knows how, she may work and be a homemaker, or she may just do that, and by God, that's a full-time job in itself. But she also is very prosperous and productive in whatever she does, and she attracts wealth. And this Knight of Pentacles here, it's like it's like somebody that invested in, like, the Instagram baddie, like what his eyes could see, or something that was exciting, something that was fresh, something that was new, because what he had back at home just wasn't given, that same level of adventure and enticement that he was used to. Just an example, right? But this is the energy here with the Knight of Pentacles. It's like, now and he's very serious with this Knight of Pentacles, right? This is someone here, he's emotionally detached to someone that would be of value to invest in, fooling himself, ultimately leading to what, or coming from what, either way, poverty. But here with the Knight of Pentacles, it's like the Knight of Pentacles in its own right at least has a solid offer that is dependable, that means well to stay, to really be uh, um, a prosperous investment, even in its depreciated value. But that's the depreciation, though, because he squandered the true value in that feminine force that was either supporting him or that was a positive reinforcement in whatever his agenda was. And this is what he has left on his own, not because he's not high value within himself, but because his management of the energies that he was gifted, because the Queen of Pentacles is a gift, have now ultimately turned over into something less viable than what he started with. Like he ultimately just squandered his resources pretty much, as in the example that I'm using with the boss, where he squandered his people, he mismanaged, and then this is all he had left to show for it. New talent that is like, what do I do? And they may not even be here for that long. I'm just flip-flopping back and forth, practically speaking, because this could be a matter of relationships, certainly. Two people out in the cold up here. And like I said, where he thought he was getting something better, oh, okay, that's the energy I'm seeing here. Now that I'm looking back at this row, he thought he was making the wiser choice. I'm seeing this a little bit differently now. He thought he was making the wiser choice to go with someone that seemed to be more of, like that seemed to appeal more to his material sensations. As I said, King of Swords, emotionally detached. Left something else in the dust, almost for dead over here with the Five of Pentacles, like, oh, whatever, that type of vibe. And now it's like, oh, wait, I'm ready to settle down. I'm ready to commit. I'm ready to sow seed. But this is all that's out here now. Is baddies and let me shut the hell up. Like people that may offer a certain level of excitement and adventure, but in this case, not much depth of substance. That's the difference here. It's just like your money ain't going but so far. Like, as a matter of fact, you probably don't even have the enough money for the type of energy that you're pursuing. Like this is the wrong. You're making the wrong investment here. It could never be enough, as it is with the Knight of Pentacles, for someone in a vibration such as this that maybe wants the fast life, fast energy, fast, like on to the next type of vibes. Maybe polyamorous type of energy with the Fool card, just like sowing their wild oats. I almost said royal oats coming to America. That's funny. Yeah, here's the Sun card, and this is where he means to be, but ain't no sunshine when she's gone. What's with the sun? You had the sun because you need the sun to grow any crops over here with the Queen of Pentacles, and you thought that was just too safe, too something, too aggressive, too masculine, too boring, whatever it was too much of. That's why there's a mismatch here, because somebody pretty much deluded themselves in thinking that they had better options. That's the truth. And there's the wish fulfillment. He thought he could do better. Let me just get one. And there's the energy right here. It's like, This is where the vibe was whole time. And something that was pure, that was sustainable, that was prosperous, that was productive, that may have taken a bit more time and energy to grow. When you sow a seed, you got to kind of trust the process and actually even be an active participant in the process to some degree. But eventually, with the sun and the proper elements in place, it springs forth. It yields a great deal of a harvest with the Eight of Wands. It's more than what you even accounted for. Yeah, that's why that Nine of Wands was here. Somebody is regretful. Wish they could really go back in time and get a do-over or just do something different. But you kind of just got to move forward now. Yeah, here, that's right. With the Tower card, let me just get ones if I can. The Tower card here that kind of brought the house down on these illusions. You can't even stand on that anymore because the sun is out here now. So you know exactly what your actions have yielded, what your investments have yielded, and what they have not. Like what you actually are missing out on account of your decisions. Yeah, and here's yet another page. I'm sorry, another night. Let me see what he's offering till. I'm not going to take that because I just want one. But look, yeah, finessed himself. Did too much, you know. Did too much. Spent too much time and energy on trying to win at all costs, trying to project this energy of I'm the man, I'm above all else. And, you know, it's just like it didn't really work out in the end. Not the way it was intended to. Yeah, this is like wasted energy. With the Eight of Pentacles, you're supposed to be producing something prosperous, something to last, building something to last. But this is somebody that couldn't be bothered to focus on anything sustainable for the long term because they wanted the quick turnaround and results. Five of Swords wanted to step on, what we're willing at least to step on some energies to have things go a certain way, like a more controlled outcome. Yeah, they want to be able to dictate exactly what they manufactured. That's what that Eight of Pentacles is giving. Like, it's down to the dime, the penny, you know, like, this is what I'm making. This is what I'm creating for my future. Damn. And look what's back again. Now he's trying to finesse himself or maybe nourish himself, nurture himself, because it's like, it's not going very far here with this full energy. So you kind of got to come back to the beginning, to the bare bones of where you went wrong. Damn. And to me, after a Tower, after some shocking ending or some disturbing outcome of sorts, it's like he's trying to nurse himself back to health. That's what it feels like. Damn, so ain't nobody there to help him recover or recoup that. And that's what I was saying, right? With the boss energy, I was like, he didn't depleted all his resources. The whole team left. It's never a coincidence what I be talking about. I know sometimes in the beginning y'all be like, girl, what is you? But it always comes back around. And it absolutely did really and truly come back around, that he's really trying to nurse himself back to health. And this could be in so many different ways now that I'm hearing it like this, because the Tower, man, like I said, back to the original story, an example, what he's done to others this might be the get back. Spirit now returning all that energy back to him eightfold. And now maybe perhaps he's out of a position and maybe he's not able to find, you know, a new place, or at least an ideal place to be where he can truly thrive the way he had it where he was, because he had it good. Not just with the team, but the recognition on account of having a great team. But, you know, as the director, you take all of those accolades more or less, even if what's the right word? Deflecting onto your team or to your team, but it's still your responsibility. It's still your space, you know, so naturally you're going to be well applauded for your success as the head of the organization. And it's like, now look at this. This ain't looking good. He has some fall from grace, or there has been or is being, for the masculine energy generally, a fall from grace where people are, is exactly what I was saying, where you left what was stable. Now this is somebody that would have nursed you back to health, would have nurtured you and made sure the bills was paid, house was clean, food was cooked, kids was good, money was still coming in, flipping that coin every which way that needed to be flipped, so you don't even have to worry about a recovery. This is like somebody getting into an accident and not having the insurance in spirit or in truth to recover properly. It's like they're scraping some healing together and they don't even have the proper support. Like, look how he's leaning on his own staff here. Literally his own staff, because the rest of them are far, they done left his ass behind. Not having that support system in place, like you having to get your own bath ready, or God forbid if you're incapacitated in such a way where you can't do things for yourself, or you just can't get around very well, this is what this is giving me, especially coming from the tower, or people that you do have in place, or you almost have to settle for a certain support system that you don't even want to help you with the Knight of Cups, because the Knight of Cups can be a bit of a finesser. And he looking at him like, I don't even trust you, dude. Or having to have a stranger, maybe, like, home health care or some other professional of sorts that I would say is depreciated in value to some degree, because it's the Knight of Cups. So they just have a job to do. It's not necessarily going to be with any tender love and care as somebody that actually has an affinity for you would take. Same with the energy with the boss. It's like these new people that you then got on board, they just here for a paycheck. They're not, and they may not even be here that long. They're here to get a job done, look professional or look productive for a certain time, but you ain't going to get tucked in all sweetly and have your head rubbed and a warm bath. You're not getting all that. You might get a sponge bath. You're not going to have somebody putting you on their back and transporting you to places where you feel comfortable and not like, this is fucked up. This is taking on a whole, let me get one more. Let me get one more. I feel sorry for this guy. Shoot, or girl, because there's two people on this card. And there it goes. It's like, the partnership that he's ended up with is not what he bargained for. Like, his money don't even stretch long enough perhaps to get the help and support that he would need to get back to his full health, like get back to zero, with the Fool card, regenerated, revived, restored, all that good. It's like you don't even have enough to buy the type of support that you would need to get you back to that level of restoration. You squandered it all. You burned your bridges. That Seven of Swords makes all the difference. That's definitely a bridge burner right there. Yeah, look at this. And here's the strength. This, like I said, this is what he would have needed. Someone that, like I said, strength, will be willing to balance you on their back to get you to, a cozy chair, or get you to a nice warm bath, or just to nurse you back to health, literally back to your full strength and vitality. This is someone that really, really screwed the pooch in their life. And it's karmic, just as it was with the manager that I'm speaking of, because he allowed his primal nature to supersede his spiritual, not just his spiritual, but even his human nature, just to have some common ground there, just be humane, nice, kind, do unto others as you would want them to do unto you, as you would have them do unto you. He lost sight of that somewhere down the line, and those insecurities, that need for his ego to be stroked, for his strength and power to be validated externally, is what took over. And it started driving the machine, i.e. his own vehicle. And oh shit, Lord, could this be a crash? as I'm saying vehicle, this could have been something like that where somebody has had a fall in some way. It's either an accident or he's on crutches up here. It's either an accident or some type of vehicle mishap, but something that has more or less incapacitated someone to their natural abilities. Maybe not completely disabled. I hope not. He is still standing, but this is someone that needs support in a very specific kind of way, and they don't have it anymore. They literally just don't have access to that level of support. And it could be spiritual also, because I'm getting that inflection here with the wands when we're talking about energy, and this Knight of Cups trying to offer something of which we don't know what's in that cup. It's like the nourishment and the support and guidance that he may be receiving may not be it may not be altogether trustworthy, but it's definitely not fulfilling. That's what it is. It's not fulfilling. That's wild. You know what? I'm gonna get up out of this. Yeah. Hermit card. Yeah, somebody's on bed rest, locked down in the house. They're not able to move around the way, one way or another. Because like I said, if we're talking about the manager example, he can't move the way that he used to, or he couldn't. I don't know how things have changed now, but once that trust and that foundation with the Tower card, that's what the Tower does. It breaks up a foundation for a more firm and sturdy one, if you're lucky, because not everybody survives the Tower, okay? But once that foundation was dismantled, he was at the mercy of new, less fortified figures. So he couldn't just leave the store and expect that everything would get done the way that it was supposed to, or that he could go on vacation and not have to worry about anything. Nobody's calling, nobody's frantic, everything's moving like clockwork. No, he wasn't having the same record of numbers and, success that he was used to having almost blindly, because when you got the right people in place, you make life easier for yourself. Such is the case in every spectrum of life. If we would learn to see each other as, as a support and as a benefit to one another's success, as opposed to a threat and a competition. And that's on each polarity between masculine and feminine, and that's even within the polarities, It's just the consciousness that we've been conditioned to, that, as I've said, those that have been willing to see their way out, to be enlightened, to go within, to really decipher, like, what of that is truly working for you? Like, what's working for me? That may be the societal norm. It may even be the universal way. But does that work for me as an individual? What results am I seeing? What am I yielding in my life, materially, spiritually, mentally, or in any other way, shape, or form, that is of value to me, that's reflecting my value back to me, as a matter of fact, that I can continue to invest in? This is someone that's not afraid to take the reins in their life and, like, find, really be guided internally, by that internal compass I like to speak of, but from and to a higher perspective overall. Hopefully this is the outcome for energy such as this. This is definitely the calling. You could be a yes to it or not. It's up to you. But otherwise, you just continue to, create a victim of yourself over and over again, and you ultimately get devoured by your own pride and ego when it comes down to it, because it's not sustainable energy anymore to just treat people disposably. That don't work no more. Yeah, here's the Queen of Swords again, but the Chariot, this is the way forward. And being and recognizing what? the power in our equality, even in our separatism, even in our differences, that's okay. We still have a great deal to bring to the table that is invaluable to each other. Like the Queen of Swords is just as much of a genius and like a highly exalted intellectual as the King of Swords. They just have different ways of processing information and communicating it, as masculine and feminines often do. But certainly was here, but these two entities here that I see oftentimes, that to move forward in any successful, powerful, victorious way, it would take the strength of the two. It always has. Even when it was suppressed, it was still, and oppressed, it was still being siphoned. So it was never without the strength of the feminine. It just wasn't, it was just unbeknownst to her realization, intentionally so. For women to feel like they had no true value, or, a secondary benefit or impact, or, impression on society or life in general, when all along there was just as much need for the feminine force as there was the masculine, but it was just a matter of who was driving the ship, who was driving the chariot, to decide whether or not she would be privy to that self-awareness and assuredness. And now it's like she is not asking for permission anymore, because she already knows. And in those spaces where you're not willing to reflect that, the most premium talent, which we're talking about Queen of Pentacles, and not to mention all those strong feminine forces that came up when I had that spread, the High Priestess, the Queen of Wands, and it was something else. Maybe it was the Strength card again, I'm not sure. But here is now the intellect to match, where you can't just say, oh yeah, well they're great multitaskers, or they're good in the home, or they're good nurturers, or yeah, they're good for love and companionship. It's like, no, we're just as smart, just as much genius to offer and ingenuity to the advancement of creation overall as our masculine counterparts. Indeed, co-creators, let's say. Let's not even counteract that energy anymore. Let's normalize co-creativity, right? And just as guided in a different form, in a very valuable way, as a matter of fact, because the feminine energy is more willing to be led and guided by their intuition and by those intangible forces that we just naturally embody and gravitate towards, because that's where we found solace, and that's our original come from, where the masculine energy is more tangible, more intellectual, more material, and has to be almost like conditioned to trust the other side of that instinct in the feminine force for himself, within himself. So that's how we work together, and to the other point, the logistics of the masculine mind is of course very highly valued when it's not tainted by ego and insecurity. We need the detachment from emotional exuberance sometimes. We need each other. We need each other. And anybody that thinks differently at this time, this day and age, is just as good as lost out here in these streets, honey. Masculine or feminine. Yep. So that's that on that. That was a pretty good message. Interesting. But I'm going to leave it there. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And I'm feeling some energy on this. It's the feminine leading the charge for the both of us, though. As I was saying here, like, this is the nurturing that gets to be done now. If the masculine would allow that exchange and would be open to it. It calls for a bit of vulnerability. That's what's happening here. It's like this incident of sorts has almost forced someone into submission to his own vulnerability because he needs the help. You know, it would be great for it not to have to be a tower moment situation or a force to create this level of intimacy that would be forward and for all. For it to just be a matter of awakening at this point, seeing what has been working without it being any drastic, sudden, changes to everyday life, to just see what's been working for me. Is this the way that I've been living? Is this really yielding what I wanted to yield? Or can I do things better? You know, like quality control to some degree, the quality of your own existence. What's missing? What opportunities do you have for advancement? You know, and where can you supplement those voids? And be honorable enough to honor, to appreciate that those commodities and those resources, and integral enough to reciprocate the value of which they are truly worth. And you could take that however which way you receive it, in spirit and in truth. All right, so hopefully we're going to get it. We're going to get it together. Some of us are getting it. Some of us already got it, but it may take a little bit of time for everybody to get it together, literally. Hopefully I'm here to see it, but one thing's for sure is that I won't be forfeiting my life, my accelerated and advanced life experience to wait around for anybody else to figure it out. You know, I'm gonna be getting mine right now. Please and thank you. Who's with me? Oh, God. All right, I'm done. Thank you for listening and watching for real this time. Until next time, I leave you with peace.